And welcome to another exciting episode of the In-Game Boss Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy, a.k.a. your in-game boss, a.k.a. your retro activist, a.k.a. your water cleanser. Because by the time you listen to this, I want to congratulate on myself for going 1 year without drinking soda. I know, man. It's crazy. I haven't drank soda for a whole year. That was a big goal in my life. I got a year in. Feels pretty good. Do I miss it? Root beer. Root beer is the only thing I miss. I am fine without, that brand in your mouth.
Yeah. This is, hey, it's my birthday week.
Yeah, right.
I don't normally, I can count on one hand how many times I've drank this in a year. It's my birthday week.
Yeah, and this beautiful guy over here you see on the other side on my screen is Mr. Jaron.
Yes, a.k.a. the Evil of Aku, a.k.a. the Grumpy Bear, a.k.a. I don't know. I'm older. I'm older. I feel broken down already. And it's humid outside.
Yeah, in Oklahoma, yes, it is.
Yes. Here in Oklahoma, it's spring, and spring means swamp ass.
Right. Well, actually, at the time of this recording, it's kind of drizzling outside my window and whatnot. So, but this ain't.
You're right.
Is it drizzling over there?
Yeah, a little bit, and that's fine because it'll soften the ground up that I've begun making my garden bed.
Oh, okay. Well, no rain's gonna stop. Oklahoma's #1 video game podcast, and I also went to the doctor, got my ears checked, got them ear cleaned out, feel a lot better. Earaches is not a cool thing; it's kind of annoying. All aches are terrible. Yeah. The worst, #1, it's a toothache. Toothache is the worst out of everything to me.
Yeah. I got my second vaccine shot on my birthday.
Oh, okay.
So I have all my shots. I can maybe start being selectively social.
Yeah, I gotta get mine too.
Yeah, and also I went to the doctor once. He said I was hot blooded. Check it and see. Hot blooded. Temperature of 73. So, but yeah. #1 podcast. And honestly, I have yet to see or hear of anyone disputing that.
Yes. And if you think you do have a gaming podcast in Oklahoma, please let us know. We will love to listen to your show, even connect with you and whatnot. But until then, we're going to keep the #1 spot, because it's ours. Anyways. This is a video game podcast show, and as you know, we talk about nothing but video games and maybe some other side stuff, but our goal is to challenge ourselves and also challenge you in fun video game topics and whatnot. And this episode is kind of part 2 of our last episode, where we talked about us change as a gamer from, younger to now, because we're both in our 30s, and, holding on to a strong, 40s. Almost 40 for you, yeah. But... it's funny because we have to talk about this topic because as gamers, as we change with age, so does studios. Gaming studios change a lot, due to the transition of new consoles, the way things change from physical to digital, it happens. But before we even talk about publishers that we are going to be talking about that have changed, we're going to do some quick news. But before that, I want to talk about talk about one game that we've been playing, because we haven't talked about what we've been playing for about a couple of weeks and whatnot. I started Judgment.
Finally.
Yes. I had to be in the mood for it. For people who don't know, Judgment is a Sega game that takes place in the same world as Yakuza series. And I think it takes place after that series. And you are playing a detective that was once a lawyer. So you are now going around trying to solve this giant mystery of what's going on and, investigating stuff. So nothing really changed. If you play Yakuza, it basically takes place in kind of like a, sandbox town of part of Tokyo. And you're just, you go to places, you eat, you play games, you solve mystery, you fight. There's a lot of fighting in it.
Good.
Real same thing like you play like Yakuza games. I like the main character in this one. He's He's very interesting. He's very determined. He's pretty funny. He has a partner that was an ex mafia, ex Yakuza person, and to tell you the difference, there's not a big, huge difference between the two. I mean, the fighting styles, he's a little bit more parkour. So, like in Yakuza, the main character, he's really good on different forms of fighting and whatnot, and he's very close combat for what he does. The main character in Judgment, sorry, I forgot his name off the top of my head. He's a little bit more jumping around. Jumping around, more acrobatic of what.
More Jackie Chan-ish?
Yeah, give or take, yeah. Because one of the things they add for him is like you can run up a wall and bounce off and do a kick. You can run up to an enemy and like you can do a combo where like you can run off, leap over them and then kick the other person behind him in the face. And whatnot. Okay. They really tried to do a good job of trying to get you connected to everything, to the opponent, instead of feeling like it's separate for each one.
So it feels a little bit more organic or coherent.
Yeah, give or take. I don't know if you ever touch any Yakuza series, Jaron.
Just what?
Zero?
No, Zero. Yeah, Zero. I'm still working through Zero. I'm at the point, like we talked about in our last show, I'm just going to blast through story-wise, just bam, bam, bam. I love the side quest activities, but there's just so much. I'm going to be there all day.
Yeah, so there's a lot of activities you can do in this game. I feel like this one, though, is a little less than the Yakuza games. And one of the things they did add on, I don't know if Yakuza 6 or 0 did it yet. I haven't got to those yet, because I want to buy 5. Because the last entry I played is 4. So I want to play 5, then 6, and then start from 0, 1, and then play 2. Even though I already beat 1. So I think one of the difference is you have these friends list. And what you do is when you go in a place of business and you start being kind of like a regular customer there, you gain a friendship. And these friends can help you out in certain scenarios, like when you're in a fight or something like that. So like, I will go to a restaurant and buy food there, and then I'll get a little story arc with him, and help him out and everything like that. And there's different levels of friendship. And there's one point where he'll like, if I'm in a fight near his place, he'll jump out and like throw some boosting sauce for me, and that will pump me up to like fight some more and whatnot.
Here's some soy sauce, drink it.
Right. Feels like an advertisement commercial. Like beating you down. I got you, kind of thing.
He had you some cup noodle.
Right. So you gain friendships from doing that. But other than that, you still got restaurants. You still got the batting cages. You still got the, I guess they're brothels, but they're not. You're not really You're not really renting an escort. You're just going to a place where you're buying for women to hang out with you for a while. But it's not sex, though. That's the weird part about it. They're just kind of just there to be there, pour your drinks, have a conversation with you, all that stuff. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
Bottle service. They're like, what is it? Like a maid cafe or a hostess cafe.
Yeah. We'll call it a hostess bar. There's just like a hostess bar, and they just kind of sit there and chill with you and whatnot.
Yeah.
The only thing I like and dislike what's different is the phone. So on your phone, they have it where you can check your map, you can unlock your skills, like you're paying money or basically your experience to buy a move, like you're buying on the phone. That's where you do that's where you get your information from, like calls and stuff like that. But sometimes it's funny that the phone doesn't let you make calls. It's only used when you want to receive calls. For the story wise. So for instance, it's funny where I will get a mission and they tell me I gotta go meet such and such, and I feel like, well, couldn't I just call them to come meet me here? Or you let it be for what it is, but at the same time you kind of think about it like, I can save on this phone. Literally, I can save my file on this phone and all this stuff, but I can't make a call to nobody just to see what's going on. I feel like there's a lot
maybe you got one of those cricket phones.
Probably, or one of those drug deal phones. You receive calls. You don't call anybody, and you burn it after you're done. But I think one thing that drove me a little bit over the edge for this game personally is, so you get your main quests and then you get your side quests, and your side quests are highlighted on the map in these little folders, and you can click on those maps and then they'll give you a GPS how to get there, right?
Yeah.
But you can't, that's the only way you can do the mission in that way. You can't pick a mission and make that your primary mission that you want your character to focus on.
Really?
Yeah. Does that make sense?
You just have the missions and you go to them, but you can't like actually focus on a particular one.
So no matter what, you have your main mission, and it'll always highlight red, and it'll say, "Hey, it's over here." You know, always go over here if you need to go to mission. Cool. Well, but maybe I don't want to do that. I want this side mission to be my main one. So I want that to highlight to tell me where to go. You know, and it doesn't let me do that. The only way I can do it is I have to click the folder on the map itself to go there, but it's never going to say on my screen, you're on this mission. So that kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit, because it's like, I don't know why they don't give me the access to do that. I don't like having too many things on the screen. I like one mission focus at a time. So if I want to select this mission, make the map have the map focus on me going to that mission instead of no matter what mission I pick, that red one is always going to shout out at me. I'm just not a fan of that. I think that was a bit of a misstep. But that's a small thing. It's not that big of a deal. So I'm not too upset about that. But I do like one thing about, and I think you'll agree with this, in Yakuza games, when you go on when you're about to get in a fight, because like, even though you're running around town, gangs are going to come up and fight you. For some reason, they just know who you are and they just want to mess with you, right? And that's mainly where you get your experience. In Yakuza games, when they come to you, you kind of just stop for a minute, acknowledge each other, then they announce fight. Now, does Zero do that? 'Cause I haven't got to Zero.
No, Zero is you're running around minding your own business, and it gives an indicator, and the indicator changes if they start to recognize you. And if they recognize you, they're like, "Hey, there's that guy," and they chase you.
Yes.
And if you run away from them, eventually they'll be like, "Yeah, you better run," or otherwise it'll then initiate. It'll kind of shift into that fight mode.
Yeah, but I guess for Judgment though, when someone sees you go in a fight, it doesn't stop. You can, like, I'll see an enemy see me, and there's like, "Hey, gang up." You can just straight run up to them. It's not one of those like, you guys are getting your position first, and then you start fighting.
Yeah,
like,
no, Yakuza, it's just like,
okay, in Yakuza 1 and 4 and 3, it is when a gang meets up with you, you guys stop. You guys are getting your fighting stance. A sign will come up and say fight, and then you go into your fight in there. But I think from Zero, they put that in the Judgment where you see an enemy you're about to fight, you can automatically just run. It just announces you're in a fight, and now you just run up and you can just start fighting, which that's 10 times better, because I like running up and doing my leapfrog and then kicking the person behind them and stuff like that. The one thing I haven't took advantage yet, and I think they took this a little away from me compared to Yakuza, is you don't get a lot of environment beatdowns. And I don't mean like I don't mean of grabbing an item and bashing them in the face. I'm talking more like a finisher. So like if you drag a person near a car, he'll do a finisher bashing his face on the door or bashing his face on the car, right? Yeah. All right, you get that in Judgment, but I haven't found anything else where else you can do environmental damage to them. Like there's a wall, maybe I'll bash their face in the wall. You can knee them into the wall, like because it's part of a jump move for you to do a combo wall, but not as a finisher to me. So hopefully there's some more finishers I just haven't found yet in Judgment, because that's the thing about Yakuza was awesome, was like, where can I smash their face, or what can I do else with them, you know? Hell, in Yakuza you could do a curve stomp. So it's like, oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, I haven't played Like a Dragon yet. I've heard nothing but good things about it, but maybe that kind of stuff comes back.
Well, that's more of an RPG setup. I don't think they'll do that.
I mean, I heard the fighting is really fun though.
Yeah. I think that's his own monster over there, you know what I mean? So I feel like Judgment is just kind of the continuation of where the Yakuza series go off and where Judgment's continue on. Now, it is coming to PS5, and I think they said they're introducing ray tracing to that one. So It'll probably look good
because I hope it does a free upgrade.
That'd be awesome because it actually runs pretty damn well on the PS4. Once it all loads up, there's really no loading that much, really. You know, I'll go into the elevator and I'll walk out immediately to the other side. It's not one of those sit there. Yeah, you know, and it's a nice looking game. I really like it. So I'm enjoying that right now. And we'll just see where it goes from there. But I feel like there's not a lot of meat on this edition compared to the other Yakuza games. And I like the idea of you're this cop, you're this detective. And at the beginning of this game, you were trying to get a mafia member or Yakuza boss off by trying to find evidence, all this stuff. And then you're going into the courtroom and you're describing all this evidence. There's a cutscene for this, and it's pretty interesting. Sure. And I kind of wish that was the gameplay. I wish it was half Yakuza, half Ace Attorney. Because here's the thing, though, you're not when you're in the courtroom, you don't get decisions. You just sit there and you listen to these people have a conversation in a cutscene. But it'd been so cool if you're a detective partnering up with a lawyer. And you go out and do a lot of stuff. And then when it comes to courtroom, you play as the lawyer and you get to choose what evidence you want to put out there, all this stuff. So you kind of get more immersed in there. And if you made the bad decision, you made a bad decision. He gets out or he's not guilty or whatever. So I just think that that's a cool idea. And I wish they laid on that a little bit more. But I'm enjoying it for what it is. What about you? What have you been playing?
Well, I already told you, weeks ago, I've been playing Valheim, for about almost a month. And of course, our listeners probably know all about it. They've heard about it. It's essentially, it's Ark. It's like Ark or Don't Starve, but with a Norse slant. And, it depending on how you do your games, how you do your survival games, it is addictive as hell. But also I started playing, actually came out on my birthday, started playing Pac-Man 99. So it's like Tetris 99, Super Mario 35. You are playing a modified version of Pac-Man, and goal is to be the last person standing. So of course, the more ghosts you eat, you can do multipliers and eat like 20 some odd ghosts and send them over to your opponent. They can send stuff over to you. You have to eat all the pellets in order to get speed boost, so your Pac-Man moves faster. Eat fruit to replenish the pellets, but it also makes the game move faster. It's pretty fun. I was telling you about it before the show, and honestly, if you only have like 10 minutes, you can get several games in because they go that fast.
Have you won?
Say what?
Have you won a match?
Oh, hell no. I got fourth place. Like I was playing it hardcore the other night while watching the Snyder Cut, and I was kind of half paying attention to the game and half paying attention to the Snyder Cut. So I was making stupid decisions and running into ghosts and stuff. But I mean, it's pretty good. I've not been able to play a whole bunch of other games. I've started I picked up Tekken again, but as far as moving on to another game, I need to finish Final Fantasy 12. I need to pick that back up and finish playing that. I have been playing Age of Calamity, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, little just bits and pieces. So I'm kind of just playing a little bit of a game, playing like an hour, finishing a chapter of the game, then moving to something else or anything like that as time permits. So it's been a very much a sampler platter for me. Okay.
Right on. All right. So we talked about what we're gaming. Now we're going to talk about a little piece of news. Just one piece of news. It's only been a really popular one. Let's talk about Sony. So 2021 it's been an interesting year for all consoles, all publishers, Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox. But Sony's been a little... I feel like Sony's trying to do some different things. Try out some different things. Try out is my safe word for this. So I'm going to use that as my nice safe word. It. And so, since the PS5, we've been seeing just just different ideas they want to try out and see what works out. I mean, and a lot of the fan base is kind of getting conflicted by it, with the fact that the PSN store is closing in July. That is from the Vita store and the PS3, which we want to confirm that. And Jaron wants to confirm that he's not very happy about that.
Yeah. A lot of expensive games.
Yeah. So if you can get connected to it, I would suggest go ahead and get those because, like we talked about in our last episode, some of those games are going to probably be damn well impossible, or you're going to have to get them on PlayStation Now, or they're going to or maybe they'll bring them back, but they're going to probably be more expensive, some shape or form.
Yeah,
your best chance to get it now at a good price here than what's going to happen in their faith later on.
Drop $70 and just load up on them.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of funny coincidence. Example is Legend of Mana. You can get that for easily $5, I believe, or maybe $10. I forgot. On the PSN store, but I don't know how much it's going to cost for that remastered. So, it's your call. But like Suikoden and all those are going to be hard.
They're not doing remasters or remakes of that at all. And Suikoden, so it used to be Suikoden 1 was affordable. You can get it for like $20-$30, the original PlayStation version. Suikoden 2 was always expensive as hell. But now Suikoden 1 is expensive. Suikoden 2 is even more expensive. Suikoden 3 is expensive. Suikoden 4 is expensive, and nobody cares about 5. But 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 all on the PSN store. Here's the kicker. Not long after our last show, when we were talking about it, how the rumor was coming, Sony, just after confirming, or just before confirming, I should say, that yes, the store is closing in July, they killed completely the web interface. So you have to go on the console now. So that and normally that was normally that wouldn't be a problem, except navigating the PlayStation Store on the consoles slow as hell. It is frustrating. It is not user friendly. So
yeah, and that also goes on with the Atlas games. That's another thing too.
Yes,
a lot of the Atlas games are going to disappear.
Member of the Retro Game Society. Shout out to Jake. I'm not going to butcher your last name, but he actually made a list of PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, and I think he dropped a PlayStation 3. But PlayStation 1 and 2 games that you should get off the PlayStation Store because they were either going to be expensive and hard to find, or they're just going to go away, period.
Yeah.
So, and that includes God Hand by Clover Studios, all the Shin Megami Tensei games, from Atlas and whatnot, Suikoden, Tomba, all of those. Yeah. Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill. Silent Hill, to buy the physical copy, is like $100+ now.
Yeah. On top of that, Sony's been very interesting with their IPs. A lot of people are really wishing they dive more in their classics and bring them back in a new, innovative way. Even with the studios change, we heard about the Studio Japan is getting a remodel, so a lot of people are leaving there. Some of the creators that helped do like Gravity Fall. I think it's Gravity Fall. Yeah. Yeah. Gravity Fall, which I talked about the second one here on the show. Same people that did like the Puppeteer. Same people that did, sadly enough, the Knack series. They're getting remodeled.
I mean, no big loss there.
Yeah, it seems like from a point of view is I think they're trying to focus on bigger games now instead of little games. We kind of saw this a little bit the last couple of years when it's funny because I feel like wherever Sony dropped off, Xbox and Nintendo decided to take up that. Because Sony, for instance, indies. Sony was at a time, I think, a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4, where, they had indies talking about indie games a lot, and now they don't talk about them. So Xbox and Nintendo talks about indie games now. I feel like that Sony is trying to be more of a powerful company, hit these triples, hit these mega games instead of these little games. And the question is, I asked you, Jaron, is do you think it's because they're worrying about too much on the dollars or the reviews? What do you think is the reason why they're really focused on these AAA games now instead of worrying about, your B tiers and your C tier games?
Well, it's a number of different factors. First off, like you're saying, it's the money. I mean, Sony, like any major company, it's got shareholders. Shareholders want returns on their investment. So the Sony Computer Entertainment of America and of Japan, what they're doing is shifting a focus to more Western AAA blockbusters. More Horizon Zero Dawn, more God of War, more Last of Us, more Spider-Man. They're shifting more towards that because they're critically acclaimed, or they've been getting critically acclaimed. They've been selling like gangbusters, and Sony wants more of that. It's the expensive, but it's the safe option to maximize your return. Days Gone is an anomaly, but generally games, I just named like 4. Their whole PlayStation collection that, like, if you have a PS5 and PlayStation Plus, you get all those games. That part and parcel, majority of those are Sony, to borrow your phrase, bangers. So
I do like that word.
That has brought in so much money and has made Sony become known as the place to play for exclusives, the best exclusives. So they want to hold on to that title. The thing is, it's like holding on to sand. The tighter you grip it, the more it slips through your fingers. So,
do you think this is a good idea?
Hell no.
Focus. Okay.
No, I don't even have to deliberate on that. You got to diversify. You have to It's like stocks. You got to diversify your portfolio. It's not just financial advice from the Wu-Tang Clan. You got to diversify that portfolio. You can't just be shooting for AAA home runs all the time. You got to get some singles, triples, doubles. If you're always swinging for the home run, then your hits are going to be big, but your misses are going to be even bigger. And gamers always remember a miss.
So a lot of people are already see. This is a funny part about the way gaming society is if one mishap is out of their realm, there's a lot of predicting stuff that we have no idea yet to say. So some people are like, oh man, this might be like PS3 all over again. I'm like, dude, it hasn't even been a year for the PS5. So like, we don't even know anything yet.
Yeah.
So
people are saying the same thing. They're saying, hey, it goes in cycles. They dominated PS1 and PS2, and then Xbox dominated in 360, and then Sony came back and dominated PS4. It's like, did they? I mean, in the court of public opinion, sure.
Yeah, I guess in that way, like, I understand it. They're looking at it as more a pattern, but it's not a pattern. It's just dumb mistakes. Like, Xbox never did the always online. They might have been toe to toe. It was not like a Destiny that they were meant to mess up and Sony was going to win this round because PlayStation 3, Sony messed up, and that's the reason why Xbox and PlayStation should have easily won that, right?
Yeah,
it had a head start.
it was the bungling. I mean, people are saying only this time it's happening post-launch instead of pre-launch. Mm-hmm. The bungling that screwed over Sony on the PS3 was that whole, hey, here's this thing, $600. You're going to buy it. What? And people were like, screw that. I'm going to go to Xbox 360.
Yeah.
And, with the PlayStation 4, here's the thing. Where Microsoft went wrong wasn't even the always online. It was the bungling of the messaging for always online. Because guess what? So many people play with always online stuff already. Microsoft essentially said, okay, we'll back off, but then they end up introducing it later anyway. The thing that died was the Kinect. That's what went away. That's what wasn't needed. So and yeah, everybody wants to just chalk it up to arrogance. It's not. It's not strictly arrogance. Leave arrogance to the C-level people, the CEOs and CTOs and those folks. That's where the arrogance is.
I think so far they're both not doing well at the beginning of 2021. I mean, yes, Sony's making these different choices right now, and it's not liking for people, but Xbox is making good choices, but they're not putting out anything. So they're both not doing very well at the beginning of this, but it's year one. So
yeah,
you gotta have to wait.
Year one. It's like month 5, month 6.
Yeah. So the reason we brought this up is because now there's a talk, I guess with the shareholders or whatever, or a leak came out or whatever that Sony Bend in Oregon, they got rejected to do a sequel to Days Gone. So, and actually on top of that, some of their staffs from there are going to Naughty Dog to help out with some other projects they are working on. And one of them they said was a Last of Us remake. Jaron, I ask you this question. Last of Us came out what year? And I'm not counting. I'm not talking about the remake. I mean the remastered. I'm just talking about just the first entry one.
The first one came out, I think 2013. Yeah, 2013.
Okay, and then I think it was 2010 was the remaster, if I'm correct.
No. 2013 was the original PlayStation 3, and then 2015 was the remaster.
Okay, so
or no, 2014. 2014 was the remaster.
2014. Okay.
Yeah, was the remaster of the first one because they included the DLC stuff.
So since the remastered, and to now, it's been 7 years.
Yeah.
Is it time for a remake for the first one to you? Or do you think this is still fine for what it is, even the remaster, that you can still play on the PS5?
The remaster holds up so damn well. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. I want to say this is a knee-jerk reaction to the critical acclaim, but user outrage or player outrage at Last of Us Part 2. But you know what? Whatever. It die mad. But this is more like 7 years. 7 years, and you're doing a remake. This isn't a Hollywood movie.
I'm glad you brought that up. Do you think that the theory is connected to the TV series?
That would make more sense because you know how corporations love synergy.
Because HBO is doing a Last of Us TV series. So.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be out, I think, this year or next year.
No, they're just now starting development. They're still casting and getting ready for development.
Okay, so we'll probably see it maybe late next year. Maybe. And considering how The Last of Us, if they do a Last of Us remake, like remake, that means they're going to probably use The Last of Us Part 2 engine and or tweak that engine. And, that means they got to get, people come back for the voices. They're probably going to add some scenes and stuff like that. The development cycle is going to be shorter. The development cycle is going to be a lot shorter. But I don't know. It's a remake nobody really asked for. And I don't think it's really going to, unless it just does something that really blows everybody away, it's not going to be as financially successful because you can just get the remaster for $20, if that, and play it.
That's what I'm saying right there. The different scenario in this is since it's backwards compatible to the PS4, it doesn't make sense in that way. Now, if it was no way backwards compatible to the PS4 and that was locked behind those doors, that I think it'd be a different conversation. But since you can get that, I don't see the difference. But I think people out there you're going to have that group of people that will probably say the controls can be a little bit sharper. This can be this and this. There's always a crowd of those people. I don't care. I don't care. I know what you're probably going to say, but at the end of the day, there's always that crowd that just thinks it could be a little bit better. There's always that group of people. There might be 10. There might be 20.
Here's what I was actually going to say. Fuck them kids.
You get one. You only get one of those in each episode. One in each one time. No.
That's fine. I made it count. I made it count.
No.
Don't worry. It's after 20 seconds in the YouTube video.
Okay, shut up. I get it. I get what they're trying to do, and I honestly think it's going to work. Sadly enough, for the people that don't care about going to get the old game. Weirdly enough. And I think people are going to fall for it where it's going to be like, oh, this remake looks so good. Yeah, I'll go back and rebuy it again. It's worth rebuying. There's going to be people because there is a crowd for Last of Us regardless. I think even people that didn't like Last of Us Part 2 will still pick this game up because it's still the best story to them. They're like, hey, I love this better than the second one, so I will get a better looking one than this, you know?
Yeah.
And
it makes sense.
I mean, and I'm not defending this because I'm the team of, it'll look better on the PS5, just sharper, and it'll look better. It still looks good. I'm fine with this edition. I don't have no reason to go get the remake. But the question is, though, if they added a lot more stuff to it, that can be a consideration. Because my rule is if you're going to remake something, you better add something to it to make a difference. So
yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake. They added a lot to it.
Yeah. So I want to wait and see what happens. But I haven't even got The Last of Us Part 2 to really go there. And I'm not in a rush either. So, but it is sad that Days Gone is not getting a sequel. I thought that game did well enough to deserve a sequel. It is free for April this month. And I will probably give this game a try for my own opinion. I think also, too, since it's kind of on the Last of Us bust kind of game, it kind of...
post-apocalypse.
I think it might have hurt a little bit, or maybe Sony does things like, they're kind of too similar. I don't know if we want to continue this. So,
I think what did it in was the bug. There were weird bugs. It was plagued by a number of weird bugs. The motorcycle maintenance mechanic. I think instead of being an interesting little, gimmick to add on to your experience, it became an albatross. Just pulled you out. It broke immersion because you're like, oh my god, really? Mm-hmm. I got to fill up gas again. You know, so or it was a gate. It was a way of gatekeeping before you can move to a new area. You had to upgrade your bike to make it, be able to go that far. I liked a lot of things it was trying to do. It had a lot of great ideas. The one of the taglines was "This world comes for you." The fighting all the freakers. The massive amounts of them. You have to be quiet. You can't do these direct confrontations because they will kill you, or they'll overwhelm you. So I liked those parts. I like the chase sequences. I like feeling like, oh my god, I'm running. Because I like that in Last of Us as well. But there was a lot of parts that the execution was sloppy. It's still fun, but it's sloppy.
I think that's what also kind of ticked a lot of the fan base is because, out of everything you guys want to bring back as a remake or some touch, Last of Us is the one you want to do, right?
Yeah.
Because it feels like we just got through Last of Us Part 2, of last year, and now we're getting a remake. It's a little too back-to-back, I think, for some people. But also, too, it's you have Legend Lagoon. There is a lot of backlog series that can come back into the surface that can get a nice coat of paint and get remade.
Infamous.
Say what?
Infamous.
Yeah.
Bring Infamous back.
Yeah.
It did get last light or first light on PlayStation 4. But you know what? That it seems so long ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, I like the first Infamous. I don't like Second Son, though. I didn't like Second Son. But I wouldn't mind bringing back Cole in the old one just to see what they can do with it and what all the change. I mean, get Blue Point on it. I love me some Blue Point. Blue Point knows how to hold it down. Like them a lot. But we'll just see what happens when it comes out. We'll see if it's a huge difference. It better be ray tracing. It better be 60 frames. You better do something to really make it work for the fan base.
Obvious $60 to $70 price point.
And that's the kicker right there, the $70, right?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You better make it worth it.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm not in a hurry of getting a PS5. I mean, not like you can go out and get one anyway still.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably going to be that way until probably this time next year. But you can still, most of the games that are out are going to be on PS4 as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you can just, and they have the upgrade. You know, you got to jump through some hoops, but you can still play your PS4 games and get the upgraded PS5 version.
Yeah, it's funny too, because like Sony has been a little bit weird on their messaging, especially like some of their games, like saying that, you know, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, it can only work on the PS5, and then we hear it on the PS4. You know, it's just bad messaging and communication. And so, but Sony's, you know, they're trying to change. They're trying to come up with ideas because they're going through a change for themselves, and that leads to our topic today: is change again. Like we mentioned before, you know, Jaron and I gone through some changes for gamers, but we want to talk about changes that we have seen through the studios in our point of views. So we selected 4, 2 for me, 2 for Jaron, and we just want to kind of just sit and talk about what we noticed from the change from the beginning until now. So, Jaron, why about you go first? What's the one you want to talk about the most first out of your 2?
I'm actually going to go in reverse. I'm going to talk the one I most want to talk about. I'm going to do that second. I'm going to start off with Konami, though.
I thought that's the one you want to talk the most. Okay.
No, I got a special bee in my bonnet for the second one.
Okay.
Konami, and honestly, the theme. I'm going to ruin the ending, but the theme for mine, at least, is going to be money and shareholders. The great bane of any consumer.
Mm-hmm.
But Konami went from innovative. They went from innovative. They went from daring. That was me. They went from innovative. They went from daring. They went from all of those cool ideas. I mean, that Konami, you had Gradius, you had Contra, you had Metal Gear, you had under their Ultra label, you had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you had
Castlevania.
You had so many different. You had multiple franchises, and that's not even counting when they acquired Hudson, you know, and those properties, you know, your Bonk and all that other good stuff. You have so many cool properties. Not to mention, you know, Konami is the same studio, the same publisher and publisher developer at one point that you got the Suikoden games from, you know, and Parodius, and so many fun. The key word with Konami, it was fun. It was fun. The 80s, the 90s, even the early 2000s, it was fun. What happened? They basically ended up becoming the Metal Gear studio. They became the Metal Gear studio. Then they pushed out Hideo Kojima, and they decided pachinko is much more fun. Pachinko makes more money, apparently. Konami makes games. Wink, 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 but only so much as to keep a hold of their property so they can make a pachinko game out of it.
The anniversaries collections.
I count that and I don't count it because the anniversary collection, you know what make a great anniversary collection? Having those games, plus maybe a couple more. Oh, and maybe videos about the making of, maybe concept art. Maybe a 10-minute retrospective or 15-minute retrospective video about those games. Like, make it feel like an actual anniversary. If I presented this kind of gift on an anniversary to my significant other, she'd kick my butt. You know? Yeah, she's like, "Oh, this is nice." Smack. No, I kid. She does not backhand me at all.
Not on the air, at least.
Yeah, she brings me food on the air. But yeah, it's just, yeah, you get the Konami arcade collection, you get Castlevania collection, you get the Contra collection. Cool. I have 2 of the 3 of those, but that's That's it. Then you get games like Contra Rogue Core. It was horrible. It was embarrassing. You don't even get a new Castlevania. Other companies are doing retro and different versions of Castlevania, Metroidvanias that Konami's refusing to do. Hideo Kojima has got his own studio, and if Hideo Kojima tomorrow wanted to do a Metal Gear Solid style game, but not Metal Gear, he could call it, I don't know. I don't know another way of saying gear, but he could call it something else, like Death Stranding, but something else. It would sell like gangbusters because it's Hideo Kojima, and it's, oh my God, we're getting tactical espionage action again. Oh, forgot another franchise, Silent Hill. Konami's Silent Hill franchise. That's the other thing. Where's Silent Hill? You got all this Resident Evil and
along
Resident
with
Evil Village coming out.
Along with Kojima with that PT demo back in the day.
Exactly. The PT demo that was for Silent Hills, Norman Reedus, and then Kojima got pushed out or left Konami, and PT basically got shelved. Not shelved. It got thrown in the fire. You have you have Capcom with all these Resident Evil titles. Resident Evil 2 remake, 3 remake, 7, 8 coming out next month. Which is crazy, but 8 coming out next month. That's Konami's like missing money on the table. Do you know how people would lose their minds if you came out with a new Silent Hill? It's right there. So, Konami, I know they're making the decisions that are safe, but they're making too many safe decisions. They're boring. It's like, let's just make money. Let's just put this pachinko game out and make some money. Oh, it's money o'clock. It's time to release an anniversary collection of something. So, it's just become very disappointing. And it takes me out of the day where if I had a Super Nintendo game, I was renting a Super Nintendo game, and I was at my local Blockbuster, and I saw a game, and it had Konami on it. I was like, all right, I'm going to check that out. That's going to be fun. Legend of Mystical Ninja. Boom, Konami. That I can't do the sound. I don't know if you're going to get it in post or an edit, but the video of the Konami symbol filling in on Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis.
Yeah, with the jingle noise. Yeah. The jingle noise. Yeah, I know it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know what it is.
I was like, yes, we in for some time. We're in for a good time. Let me hurry up, press start, and get in this. That's the excitement of playing, a Konami game. But it's gone now. It's gone. And it's not rose-colored glasses. It's just they're not putting anything out that's worth messing with.
Yeah. Glad you got that off your chest.
Yeah. You could tell I was almost like a hurt. Like it was an intervention. I was telling you how you were hurting me with your drug use.
No, it's kind of funny because I always thought that. I always thought. I always believe. I think it's true that Capcom and Konami were the best third-party rivals at the beginning, and I thought that was going to continue to this day because they were trying to hit each other in different categories like horror, action, shooters. They were even back in the arcades, right? They were supposed to be these rivals, and I loved it. Like when I was little, how when you go to this, basically most of the time, 85% you walk out of there, it's going to either be a Capcom or a Konami game in your hand, Yeah. And then, I think Konami had the upper hand with the RPG series because Capcom didn't really do RPGs. They kind
Breath of Fire, and that was.
Yeah. Breath of Fire, I will acknowledge it, but I think Suikoden just stood out more. They had more entries.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with you. Suikoden was just more fun to play, period.
Yeah. Really, really dedicated and being weird. Capcom had some weird moments, but Konami they were a little bit more risk taking, like you said earlier. They were a little bit more risk taking on the coming ideas. It is interesting if you really think about how each console cycle you did slowly see less and less Konami games. I would say it was after the PS2 we started slowly seeing drifting off, because Metal Gear was still going strong, but it felt like all their eggs were putting on Metal Gear, and maybe some Castlevania games. We get Limit of Innocence and Curse of Darkness. But also,
plenty of portable games.
Yeah, but I would say Konami really focused on more of their portables. Like they were a big fan of the Game Boy Advance and the DS at the time. That's where they put all their Castlevanias and all their little games at. And it is sad that I think also through their times, though, some of their games were not being really good anymore. Like, I like Metal Gear, but I think Metal Gear started kind of drifting off a little bit. It got a little bit too ridiculous, sometimes with the story and whatnot. I think Castlevania became, where do we go next kind of idea for that series.
Metroidvania. Just put it Metroidvania somewhere.
Right? Contra was just not pulling his weight anymore. It just...
Yeah, there wasn't after PS2, there wasn't a Contra game up until the Switch.
Yeah. Contra had Identity Crisis on the PS2 era, was Shatter, whatever, where that game was bullet hell, but 2 bullet hell.
Yeah, Shatter Soldier and Neo Contra.
And Neo Contra was too...
Neo Contra was like a mixture of Gunstar Heroes and Contra.
Yeah, it was too short also. I remember you didn't really get the bang for your buck for that game. It just felt like it was just a quickie just to get in and out. But you could slowly start seeing them kind of like, this isn't working anymore. This ain't working anymore. Suikoden's not selling that much anymore. It almost like they kind of lost their heart to it. And that's why I think made them kind of like, you know what? It's just not working for us anymore. So maybe we should just step away now and just stick with bringing back classics when they need to. Because I think they're also looking at the balance of, we're putting so much money into it. Are you getting a payoff for it? And when you do a Kojima game, that's a lot of money. So much money, you can't really spend on different ideas, And it saddens me because I think they could, if they worked on trying to come up with other IPs, new ones, instead of trying to focus so much on this is working, let's keep throwing money at this. Maybe they would have done it. Capcom is interesting in that comparison because Capcom for a while was a bit of a slump. And I'm not going to say they were going to shut down or anything like that, but they were at a big slump during the PS2 era. I mean, they had all these games, but they just weren't making money. Studios were leaving. Hence, Platinum Games. Platinum Games got created because of the struggle that happened at Capcom. They are now in a good spot. Capcom is now.
Yeah. Where Monster Hunter and Street Fighter.
but they are, you can tell that they're trying to slowly come up with some new ideas at the same time. So I will give them credit for that. They're kind of slowly branching a little bit, trying new things. I think Capcom does a good job of, we know it works, and then we're going to try new things. But I will say, though, Capcom's still notorious of running a series down the ground. I mean, Monster Hunter's still going, and Resident Evil, and they'll keep doing those until people just want to give up on them. So... but Konami, I thought Konami was going to get their renaissance. I thought that moment they're going to get that one hit, and it's going to be awesome. But it didn't work out, and I think one of the games was the Castlevania series, the later ones.
The remake with the Lords of Shadow.
Yes, but that's not a remake. That was just like a prequel. The two are like prequels of it.
I thought they were. They did the origin of Dracula, but
yeah. You get to see how this guy became Dracula, but it's not a remake of anything that I know of. So,
I guess it just felt like a reboot of the Castlevania story, but I see what you mean.
Yeah. You can say a reimagine. I don't care. But it just that didn't pan out the way they want it. So like, I can see why that change happened, but I think also they just didn't care anymore, and I think that's their biggest change. They just didn't really care anymore. Different studios changed. Different people came in and out. A lot of people were moving around. It just wasn't working out anymore, and it is sad to see that we're probably never going to get that again. And I think it would take somebody to buy them to really get the party started again. Which there were talks, right? There was talks for a while that Sony was interested in buying them. Xbox was interested in buying them. Hell, I honestly would let Capcom buy Konami. If they can do a No. Here's the thing, though. I know that look you're saying, but look, you have Square Enix, Those were the two top Japan teams for RPGs at the time that came together.
They did a merge.
I could accept a Konami Capcom merge. That would have been a powerhouse because Konami could be filling out the holes that Capcom can't do.
But that's the trick, isn't it? I wouldn't mind seeing it if we knew we were going to get some innovation. But like from your own mouth, there hasn't been innovation from Konami in years. Like
True.
a whole console generation.
True.
Or a console generation and a half.
True. Which I would say I wish this merge happened a long time ago when they were slowly drifting off. Like the PS2 times. Right? White Enix and Square. They started combining together during the PS2 times. Per se. You want to argue PS1? Fine, I don't care. But it was around that time they finally merged together.
Yeah. No, it was during the PS2 generation.
Yeah. If Konami was solely doing it, I wish Capcom said, like, let us buy you. Let us buy you, and you can still do all the games that you wanted to do. And they would have been a powerhouse. That would have been, no one would mess with them. Because they would own everything. You want your horrors? They got 2 horrors for you. You want action? They got all your action. You want RPGs? Konami can make a powerhouse with the RPGs. That would have been awesome. I think that was just a missed opportunity. But it is what it is.
but that's the kicker. You're only as good as your creative minds and directors. I mean, you said with Capcom. Capcom had their multiple studios. Their studios that gave you Beautiful Joe. They gave you God Hand. They gave you Okami. And those games, while critically acclaimed, were commercial failures.
Right.
And they weren't, and of course, because, they failed, those guys, I don't know if they were pushed out, but they eventually left because they couldn't still do their vision, and they ended up making Platinum Games. And what do we have at Platinum Games? A studio where you're wanting to see them do Shinobi, on World Game Trade Show. You mentioned that,
Shout out to Brandon Stone. Yeah.
Yeah. Platinum has the brains, the minds, the vision. They left Capcom, and if Konami had equivalent studios, was the money, the purse strings. So
I'm not saying you're wrong. But at least I could just picture that studio big, and they probably have a better balance of who can do what and see what happens.
True. It comes down to the decision makers, though.
I honestly just want to see, like, what would Konami do if they had Mega Man? What would they do with Mega Man? Like I feel like Capcom could throw all the stuff at Konami as doing stuff like that as to Sega Sammy, right? Like
Sega Sammy Atlas.
Yeah, Atlas in charge of RPGs. Because just because it's not big in America doesn't mean it's not going to be humongous in Japan. Suikoden to me was bigger in Japan than America. So I think Konami was big here, but I think they were way bigger in Japan. So I think they would have been just fine for what it is. I just think because I believe that if this happened before the Okami and the Beautiful Joe, I think this would be a different story. Because now that happened, we're looking at that aspect. But that's a different thing. So I do agree with you overall. Konami had probably had the biggest change by being existing but not existing, and it kind of sucks that they just won't sell their IPs to people that really want to touch it, or get a price for them to, let us pay you for us to make a game with your IP for our console. I don't know why Konami would turn money down like that, but it is what it is. So
yeah, I mean, and we can't deny going into part of it may be a cultural thing. Although not so much anymore. The world's become a lot smaller, but there are still some cultural ways of running a business in Japan, and that is they look forward, always look forward. Rarely kind of look back. You celebrate anniversaries, say, "Hey, okay, cool," but it's looking forward, and oftentimes some of those high-level execs are resistant to change. They don't want to change direction and try something new. They want to try what they felt worked.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because now it's time for my pick, and that's Nintendo. Nintendo back in the day were really set in their ways, right? They were like,
Yeah.
this is what we do. All right? You
Yep.
will like it, and you will buy it. you
Yeah,
know?
that's why Konami defied them by doing the Ultra label back in the 80s.
Yeah, so Nintendo had the biggest change. And I think, honestly, it took a while, but it had a good change. So, because the thing about it is Nintendo didn't need to change because they never felt threatened at the beginning, right? Everybody at Nintendo, anybody that wanted to jump in, it was a very scary mistake, right? Sega tried to take a crack at it. They hold their ground for a little bit, I think they helped push Nintendo, try to change their ways. PlayStation came. A lot of people left Nintendo, third-party wise. I think that for Nintendo, we can do a whole episode how Nintendo changed, but we kind of have to shortcut this conversation for Nintendo.
Yeah.
But I think Nintendo has finally kind of been up a little bit more friendly with their IPs, because for a while they had them locked. Like, we do it this way, and then we don't have time to make this game. We don't have time to make this game. And now I feel like now they're kind of letting go of that a little bit more, and letting other people kind of have different views of it. I'm not saying that like we're having third parties touch these games, not so much. Especially like I don't think any third party is going to be in control of a Zelda game. I don't think there's going to be a third party that's going to be in control of a Mario game. But we have seen this for Metroid.
Yeah.
For better, for worse. We did see that in Metroid. If you do touch the icon of a Nintendo game, it has to be its own thing, not connected. Koei Tecmo with Hyrule Warriors, 1 and 2. You see with what's that other game, Jaron? Crap. What other icon games had been borrowed for iconic things? I'm sorry. Back in the day before they got bought, Rare got to do Donkey Kong. And that set the new platform of how Donkey Kong games should be compared to what it was. So I'm kind of glad now they're kind of being a little bit more open up with their icons. Also, too, one of the things they had a hard time changing was the way their infrastructure was, right? They're still working on it now. Look how long it took for them to finally do HD. Look how long it took for them to kind of start doing an eShop style. Guess how long it's taken for them to finally do online? Now, How long is it going to take for them to start doing voice chat?
That's a hammer you can easily smack them with, forever and ever.
Yeah, so you can tell that they're doing better on opening up more of the icons in the games, but they're still not getting the common sense, easy ones that we expect them to kind of do, weirdly enough. And regardless what people are saying about there's always so many Marios and Nintendo Zelda stuff, at least you're seeing a new innovation for them in some sort of way. So it's not like you're beating a dead horse too many times, right? But I like the way they are going now. The Switch is becoming one of my favorite. For better, for worse, it's up there. It's becoming my favorite. They're being a little bit more open of what games can be on there. They were very strict for a while, what games can be on there, on their shops and whatnot. They were very strict about that. I think Smash Bros. Was a big help for them because they got to use third parties to come in to join their party to kind of, show more of an opening, a celebration for video games. Jaron, what are the things that you have seen Nintendo have changed?
I've seen them change from. Well, I know it still counts as a change, even if they were forced to. But like you were saying, change from how they interact with their third parties, because throughout the 80s, they were infamous for being basically big bullies. Big bullies. It was like, hey, if you make games for us, you make games only for us, and you can only make X number of games a year. And if you don't like it, we won't give you the plastic molds for our particular cartridges to work in our machines. So, so they've moved from that. They had to move from that because Super Nintendo had to go toe to toe with Sega. N64 wasn't as popular because of the PlayStation 1, GameCube had the PlayStation 2 and Xbox, to contend with. They changed in their console department. The portable, not so much, because they dominated the portable. Like Nintendo dominated portable from 1989 to now. They own the portable market. One of the biggest changes I saw, though, is they are smarter with how they take chances. Like Nintendo's always been a company that takes chances. See Virtual Boy,
Mm-hmm.
but see the Game Boy camera, But they're smarter in how they take their chances now. They're not throwing out any old idea just because it sounds cool.
Yeah, I think I'm glad you brought up consoles, because I think one of the things hopefully is going to change with the Switch is no more of these pillars. You know what I mean? Home console and a portable. Splitting up developers for both consoles. I hope now we have a hybrid. You can just focus on one console. Portable is your thing, so make a portable console. Because it was tough for, I think as a gamer of, I got a Wii U and I got a 3DS. Splitting those two up, it was just so much. And I think it was costing them more to split that up, because some of those games, could have been better on a console. I mean, think about it. We're getting a Pokemon for the first time on a console. Like a main entry one, right? That's kind of interesting. Fire Emblem is back on home console. All of these games that did better on portable are now on the go as a console. So I think that was a great change for them to do that.
That was Japan. That was a lot of Japanese doing, because portables sold better in Japan because almost everybody had some type of commute. You were riding a train somewhere, somehow, and you pop out your 3DS, and you play your DS, your 3DS, whatever, and you play whatever game for however long. You get to your destination, shut it, put it in your bag, keep going.
Mm-hmm.
It was great for the small space. I mean, Nintendo consoles in general were infamous for being small. You didn't do a big console. The GameCube was nice and perfectly cube. You put it somewhere, that was it. Wii U to a degree. The Switch continues that trend, and if you want any evidence, how many editions of a 3DS portable were there?
Mm-hmm.
The 3DS, the 2DS tablet, all of that. So
yeah, I think the one change everybody wants from Nintendo, and I don't think it's going to happen, because Nintendo knows that people won't stop doing this, so they don't need to do this, and that's their prices, right? Their main first party games never go down on price unless they get that special yellow sticker that says, Nintendo Power Collector or Collection or something, where they sell so much and they're like, all right, we'll cut it down a little bit. Or it's not selling anymore that way, so we'll cut it down now and see if we can pick up some more, kind of that last stand kind of moment. But they're notorious.
$10.
Yeah, so they're notorious of never dropping prices, but the problem is everybody keeps buying them. So why would they drop it, right?
Exactly.
Hyrule Warrior is going to be 4 years old now. Still no cut for that. People are still buying it. Mario Kart 8. That's been over a generation with a deluxe edition. And you're still not dropping that down, right? Mario Odyssey, Pikmin, Fire Emblem. All these games are not going down in the price because people still keep buying them at the price that they are. So I don't think that's going to change. And Nintendo, if I was Nintendo, I wouldn't change that in that kind of way, because it's like,
you don't have to.
Yeah, until you guys stop buying it, then we'll think about it.
Yeah, when the day that happens, people also stop paying scalpers. That actually that makes me think of another point. Nintendo and their manufactured scarcity. Nintendo is they are the Disney of the console game space. It's the super limited. I mean, we saw that with the little mini console, NES Mini, SNES Mini, and people were losing their minds over that. Hell, even when the original NES came out, when the Wii first came out, people couldn't keep it in stock. Nintendo did that manufactured scarcity. You see it with the amiibos. So, Nintendo, I don't know if that counts as something Nintendo changed or if they're just improving on their tactics.
It could be a tactic. The Mario anniversary is definitely a good example of that.
Oh yeah, they pissed off a good amount of people, but you know what? Nintendo can afford to, because people are going to be mad, and then later they won't be, and they'll continue buying stuff.
So before you go to your pick, I want to go and just do a segue to my next pick. That is a publisher that I was rooting for a long time, and it's sad that they had to step away and go a different direction. But their change in that direction is a little bit of a dislike for that, and that's Sega. I love the Nintendo and Sega rival. I loved it. I had both consoles. I loved it. I love that, you get the cool games on this and you get the safer games on Nintendo. You got the rivalry of two of the same games, but totally two different games. Aladdin, Lion King, Battletoads, all those games had even Mega Man. You got a Nintendo version of it, and you got that version of it. It's almost like the Snyder and the Wheaton cut of the Justice League. You got this Aladdin cut, the Nintendo cut. You got the Sega cut. You pick which one you like better.
Oh goodness!
But Sega was awesome, man. And you're talking about Nintendo being innovative. Sega was trying to too. Maybe not in the best ways, but you could tell that they were like, we're going to go further than that. You like Sega? We're going to put a 32X that you put on top of the Sega. You put a game on there. You like that? We're going to connect the CD to it. It's going to look like a giant mothership. They were trying to be innovative in their way. Most of the time they were too ahead for their own good. Right?
Yeah.
Way
Sega
too
Channel.
Ahead. Yeah. Sega Channel, they were just too ahead. And it was sad because people I always tell everybody, Sega opened the door and everybody steps on them when they walk through. That's what just Sega was. They were a walking mat to a lot of stuff. And they survived long enough to get to Dreamcast, which is still one of my favorite consoles of all time. Because that opened doors to a lot of stuff. The only sad part about it is no one gave it a chance. And Sega was working hard. They're like, we're going to give you everything. But if you really think about Sega, once again, open doors. 2K exists because of Sega. Right?
Yeah.
The online with the console from Sega.
They proved it's viable. Yeah.
Yeah, the arcade machine of porting games on there was simple. Sad enough that it was easy to burn games on there, but regardless, it was opening doors. PlayStation 2 was trying to do that later on with Final Fantasy 11. They were late to do the online. Sega was on the spot.
Yeah.
With Phantasy Star Online being one of their biggest hits. But it's sad because, when they decided to stop, it saddened me. But I get it. Dreamcast was their last hurrah because the Saturn hurt them so bad. Because of the bad decision of, at the E3, releasing that console right then and there. And they're like, do developers even have time? I was like, what's going on there,
And not even supporting. I mean, and their issue started even before that. The 32X.
That's true.
That was a console add-on nobody needed. Like Sega CD, I have soft spot for it because that's how we got Lunar. That's how we got, a number of really classic games. But the 32X, it didn't really need to be there. And that pissed people off. Yeah. And then the Saturn. And don't get me started. We have a whole show, about what Sega did wrong. But I agree with you. Sega had to innovate. But the thing is, they had to innovate back in the late 80s and early 90s because Nintendo had all the notable third party developers locked up. That's why Sega had to get plucky with their RPGs. They had Phantasy Stars. They'd never have a Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
they had Phantasy Star.
They always had the push to prove themselves. Like, guys, we can do these games too. Why are we not doing these? Come to us. We will take care of y'all. And they got some exclusives. They got some exclusives out of it, from developers. So that was cool. I think they were a little bit more open on what you can do on their console compared to Nintendo at the time. But, when if PlayStation did not come, I think Sega will still be going. Because I think PlayStation really put a cog in their plans. Because Nintendo wasn't going to go CD. And PlayStation was the only one, and Sega was on that rivalry with PlayStation more than Nintendo to me. Nintendo right there was more like, we're our own thing now. So like, all the third party stuff, all that stuff came on there. But it was sad because like Square Enix, I can't think of a Square game on a Sega console of any generation.
Because there weren't any.
Yeah. There was. Yeah. I would have loved to see what a Final Fantasy Sega edition would have looked like. That would have been insane. Insane. A Chrono Trigger Sega? Those soundtracks would have been badass on the Sega one.
Oh, yeah. Sega had the superior sound.
Yes. It would have been awesome to see what these Square Enix... Secret of Mana? Oh, man. It sucks that Square never, ever just put one game on there. One.
I mean, Sega was lucky to get Castlevania Bloodlines on the Genesis.
Yes.
And a port in Japan of Symphony of the Night. Konami was able to kind of defy Nintendo and PlayStation enough. The Contra hardcore, like the Sega versions of are sometimes considered better than the Super Nintendo version. I like hardcore more than Alien Wars. I like Alien Wars, but I like hardcore better. I liked Bloodlines better than Super Castlevania 4.
Yeah.
And Dracula X. So, but that's the thing. Sega had Shining Force. Nintendo had Fire Emblem. And Ogre Battle. So Sega had to get creative. Sega had its Echo the Dolphin.
Oh, fuck Echo the Dolphin. That's my F word today. Sorry, that's my impression. That's my music. I hate Echo the Dolphin. Anyways, but here's the thing about Sega. Here's the one thing about Sega that always annoys me. They always just make the weirdest decisions what games they decide they want to focus on and how they want to do it. Like, why is my Skies Arcade not somehow being released? I don't get it.
It was a matter of time before you brought Skies Arcade.
I have to. I can't bring up Sega when I talk about my favorite RPG game of all time. That's the closest of a Final Fantasy game anybody's going to get. But like, why is that not coming out, but you're going to focus on Valkyrie Chronicles coming out? Jet Set Radio, it's still not getting any love. All this stuff. But we're getting all these other weird games that they decide to do, And when they do it, they just do it wrong for some reason. Like you bring it out, but it's like, why was this the idea that you wanted to do it? And it scares you. Because if they can't even get their Sonic icon a decent track record, then how are we going to trust them with anything they got? And let me tell you, Sonic has a terrible track record. It does. Sadly enough, like ever since 3D, there's like maybe 2 I can think of that came out great. And that's Sonic Colors and Generation. Like the only 2. And Sonic Mania is the best entry to me, and that's back going 2D with a remake. Like they can't even get that right. But they got Phantasy Star 2 right. Going the ongoing path. That's cool.
What, the new Phantasy Star that's online that's out? Or are you talking about
the I'm talking about, the new one. Phantasy Star online 2, whatever.
I have yet to play it. But
I played a little bit. It's not bad. They're going the right direction with it. I like that way. But beside the point, I mean, there's other series that they have they just don't touch because it's not making the money. I like Yakuza. And I'm fine with that. But because of that, it is hard. It is hard and understandable why Shenmue fell off. You know what I mean? But Shenmue 3 is not a Sega game, so that's beside the point. And you can see why Sega dropped it off. But
But Sega
Sega tries to do something new and it doesn't work, and then when they bring something classic back, it doesn't work. The Shining series has split off in two different directions of a tactical game and RPG game. Which way are you guys trying to go? It doesn't work because their last game is just garbage. The Shining Resonance, that game is garbage to me. It's just straight terrible. But what about Gunstar Heroes? What about these other games? Like, they just don't know what to do with their own properties correctly. And that's the biggest change for me. Is more like, you guys can be back up top if you guys know your fan base and know where you want to go with your properties. And the only time we saw a lot of the entry was during the original Xbox, where we got Crazy Taxi, we got Jet Set Radio, we got Outrun, we got all these ones. But then slowly it was just about like, whatever hit we get, we're going to cherish it the best way we can. Yeah. Until something good happens. And it just saddens me that I really miss Sega I wish they brought that energy of trying to be so crazy with their different model consoles into what different ways can we do with these games. With that merge of Sammy. Now with Atlas. See, here's the funny part is, you went third party, you didn't do well, and somehow you got Atlas. That cracks me up. But maybe Atlas was not doing well either. Buy. Say what?
Atlas was an opportunity buy.
That, and maybe Atlas wasn't doing well either, and they're like, let's pick them up, you know? Hey, Sega, how about Atlas does the Skies Arcadia? I don't care. Bring it back in some shape or form. But they and also, too, they throw a lot of money out the window for their decision of where their games go. Why is there no Persona game main entry except now 3? No, not even 3. No, none. I'm sorry. Only Strikers. Only Strikers, the spinoff, is not on the Switch. Why is there no Personas on the Switch? I don't get it. I feel like that's perfect money right there. Right? Why they're not bringing out their old Sega games to port on the Nintendo Switch to make easy money? They could even work with, I mean, they have their little 1s and 2 games that they'll release. You know, it's like, hey, we'll release Streets of Rage 2 for the 30th time. Sure. I don't care. It's like, they done the Sega Gym collection on Nintendo.
Yeah. And they do the Sega Ages on the Switch. Like, they have Phantasy Star 1 and 2.
Square Enix has this little studio that focus on old school RPG games like Chrono Trigger. You know, the people that did I Am Setsuna, yeah, Okonami, all those kind of little games. Sega needs a studio to focus on doing little games and porting them in the consoles of classic games. They need their, you know what? I need to make it like a cheerleading squad. Everybody needs a Blue Point studio in their place. I don't care who the fuck you are. Second one today. But
you're the retroactivist, not me.
Yeah, right. No, everybody needs a Blue Point. Sega needs a Blue Point somewhere for bringing their old school games to the consoles. And I just think that they throw a lot of money out the window when they decide to make stuff exclusive in a weird way. Like Yakuza could work on the Switch. But for some reason, it takes so long for them to finally get on Xbox. It takes so long to do this and this and this and this because they just have a really good relationship with. It's funny. You would think they have a better relationship with Microsoft than PlayStation. Yet PlayStation does a lot of their big gyms on the PlayStation. I don't get it.
Bigger market share in Japan and in America,
I guess. But Sega really needs to. They need that Capcom renaissance where they really need to find their footing and then hit it hard and think about what people really want and see how you can change the game. Remember on our a couple episodes back, we did a baby comeback for Vector Man. Yeah. Do something with Vector Man. Bring him back somehow. I don't care. That's an example. What can you do with Vector Man? Don't overthink things. That's another thing too, Sega. Sega takes something, they overthink it. They're like, yeah, let's do this. And like, it's terrible because you guys did too much for it. You know, and it's sad because, you know, they had Bayonetta. But now Nintendo, they didn't want to do Bayonetta 2, so Nintendo picked it up. And I'm like, Sega, you had a gold mine there. Why didn't you not take the chance on that? Vanquish. Why are you not taking advantage of that? You know? I don't know, man.
I mean, I mean, it stems back to even the Saturn. Like, think about all the ingenious, wonderful games that came out on the Genesis. Why was the franchise not continued on the Saturn? Like, if Sega were smart, we'd be at Streets of Rage 5 or 6 right now. You know, we'd be at you know, a new the Shinobi series would still be going. Golden Axe. I mean, bottom line, if they had just released Revenge of Death Adder on the Saturn, that would have moved units.
Remember Legend of Oasis? That was supposed to be their Zelda rival, and that they threw that out the window after Sega Saturn.
Yeah. There's like Legend of Oasis and Beyond Oasis.
Yeah,
that came out on the Saturn. Yeah. And yeah, it would have. I played the Genesis one. It was so much linked to the past. It wasn't even funny, which wasn't a bad thing. It was just like, oh goodness, they really should have put some more marketing behind this. This could have really, you know. But so was Landstalker on the Sega, you know, and Crusader of Senti. You know, they like you were saying, they had their versions of Zelda, their isometric view, their RPG, their action RPG, but. Sega's big thing was arcade. I mean, my Sega Genesis collection, my physical collection, I don't think I'll ever get rid of any copies of that because they're all so unique. I mean, Mutant League, Skitchin, Gain Ground, Arcus Odyssey, all that stuff. So Sega allowed the up and comers, the upstart studios to play in the sandbox where Nintendo wouldn't.
Yeah, and I'll leave this, and we'll let you end it with your last pick. If you want to see how Sega has changed, just follow the Sonic Trail. The Sonic Trail will tell you how they have changed over the years. Look at every idea that they throw at Sonic and how it failed. That's the example of where they feel like that's where it's going. From him being a werewolf, from him rolling with 3 at a time of people, to the 06,
a real life princess.
To the Black Knight, the Unreal game with the Sonic and the Secret Rings. You know, look at the path that they did, and you will see where Sega started kind of like, I don't know what you're doing, my dude. I don't know what you're doing over there. So
you letting everybody just have a go at an idea. It's like the skit of how Gremlins 2 got made. Everybody's just throwing out an idea.
Yep.
Sonic's the werewolf. Sure.
Yep. So, all right, man, take it home so we can wrap this up.
Then I will make it very short and sweet. Electronic Arts went from the house that threw out Road Rash, Mutant League hockey and soccer, Poltergeist. You know, any cartridge that had especially on Sega Genesis, not counting Super Nintendo. Sega Genesis is where they really got their experimentation on. You had the cartridge with a little yellow insert into it. That's how you knew you were in for a good time. You know, Electronic Arts went from take chances, just throw anything out there. Oh yeah, we'll occasionally put a Madden or an NHL or a FIFA game out each year. No big deal. But we don't hang our hat on it. They went from that to, oh, it's time for the next Madden, time for the next FIFA. You know, time for the next whatever yearly entry of some sports franchise we've acquired. Oh, and if we have some time, we'll, you know, have this other game out. Oh, this game didn't sell 10 million? Close the studio down. Absorb them.
I think what I would say, I wonder, maybe are they number one publishers that has shut down more studios than anybody else? I want to probably look into that.
I mean, if they're not number one, they're close.
They have to be in the top 5. They're easily in the top 5. I
mean, Westwood Studios, Visceral, you know, not Gearbox. Sega got Gearbox, but yeah, they closed down so many studios. I mean, that's why we won't get another Dead Space game. That's why we won't get another Dante's Inferno game. You know. We won't get any of these really cool. I mean, hell, you're not going to get a Burnout game anymore.
No, all that got rolled into. You love your Burnout.
Yeah, that got rolled into Need for Speed. You're not going to get another SSX. You know, that's the thing. EA, and this falls into what I said earlier. Shareholders. EA is going for what makes them, they think short term. Quick money, quick investment, quick turnaround.
I think one of their biggest changes is, and I hope I'm the only one that thinks of this. That way, if it's that later on, I can look at this as the time capsule and said, yeah, I was right. I think EA is at the point where they're pretending they're listening and just seeing how far they can push the meter. For example, is people could chant, we don't want this and this, we want this and this. Okay, we're going to give it to you. All right, now we're going to slowly add some stuff to it and see what happens. I say that because of Star Wars, right? Like, we want a story. We just don't want just multiplayer. We want a story for Battlefront 2. Okay, we'll give it to you. Here it is. Okay. Now we're going to see if we can push some transactions in there, see what people think. Because let's be honest, man, they have done this a million times to me. They're buying now for almost each game, to the point where it's like they're pretending to listen. They do it, but they still like, we're just doing it so we can just see how much we can still get something out of you if we just kind of fill in the boxes that you need. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong later down the road, but they have bombed a lot of ideas, and you're right. Some studios got shut down. But I also thought about, like, there's some studios that will probably never be shut down by EA because they don't have anybody to replace them. Visceral Games, they don't need Visceral Games. That's why they shut it down. People are talking about, like, BioWare is terrible right now, and you have the right to say they are terrible right now. You know, they haven't really hit one out of the park, right? But they're a studio that are not going to go anywhere anytime soon because there's no one to pick up where BioWare is.
Yeah.
That's the sad part.
BioWare's not going anywhere.
No.
Maxis isn't going anywhere.
No.
You know?
Now,
Respawn isn't going anywhere.
Respawn can be in the middle to me. Respawn can be in the middle for me right now. They can. Because remember, EA just bought Codemasters Studios. So remember that. I don't know what they're going to do with them. But it feels like sometimes they buy studios so they can slowly start looking like, okay, we're going to buy this studio, but who are we going to sacrifice for that studio? Kind of feel.
Yeah. They buy them so nobody else can have them.
Yes. Basically. I agree with that. And, you know, they do some indie games just because they kind of just want to be in that pool. But you can definitely tell that they're all about really graphics. That's why in our last year episode in season 4, we talked about Nintendo versus EA. They just throw out, you know, the acceptable ones. They don't really think about them too much in any other way. And they really try to push, you know, the money on you. Like, if it doesn't make a lot of money, then we're going to have an issue.
Yeah. Games as a service.
Yeah. And it sucks because the people, I feel like there's not enough. Okay, it's kind of weird to me to say this, and I'm probably going to be also out of the majority. I feel like there's a lot of people complaining, but I feel like there's more people that don't know either.
No. Yeah, there's a lot of people who don't care. They're like, whatever, shut up, just give me the game.
Exactly. Like, for Madden, the last Madden was terrible. Still made a lot of money because people still buy Madden no matter what. But at the same time, you get a lot of people complaining, like, don't buy Madden because they're just being lazy with it. But at the same time, you get the people that are just not paying attention because it's like, well, where else am I going to get my football game?
Exactly.
And that sucks sometimes. That does suck. It does suck that they have the IP of football, and I think it's unfair, and I think it should be out for everybody. I think everybody should be a piece of the pie of this.
I think that's supposed to expire in the next few years. I'm not sure. But they're bringing college football back. Yeah.
Anybody could do a college football game. But for the NFL, the question is, you know, are they going to get this exclusive renew again? Who's going to step up and say we can do better than them? I don't know. Will 2K step up again? They're the last people that were doing very well football until they finally got the license for it, because I feel like they were being threatened. That 2K
That's exactly
was coming
why
up.
EA did it.
Yeah.
2K's football games were stomping EA's. 2K's basketball game, There's a reason there's not an EA basketball game that you know of. NBA Live took some time off because 2K is stomping them.
And I think that's a change for all communities for gamers, is that we have a lot of people that complain, but at the end of the day, you still buy it.
Yeah.
You still support them for what it is. Yeah. And I don't think that's going to change, probably never, because there are just people out there that just like complaining. There's just people out there that are not, they just don't care, and there's people out there that just don't know stuff. They just buy the game because either your friends got it and they want to be part of that community, for better or for worse of the game, whatever. So complaining sometimes helps, sometimes it does not help. Because at the end of the day, if you have the most top game every year, and I'll use Call of Duty as a perfect example of this. Call of Duty is at the point where they can do anything they want, they'll make money. They can make the worst game, and they can make money. People will still
they did at Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare.
I think Ghost is worse than both of those, but that's beside the point.
No, it is. It is.
But at the same time, it's like, when you're so up there, what's the point? What's the point of complaining about that? You're still going to do it. EA's with the football game.
People buy those $60 and $70 roster updates.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what they are. They're really, ideally, if EA were smart, they'd do a new Madden, an actual Madden game every 3 to 4 years, and the rest of the time in between, it's roster and stat updates.
Yeah.
And you can just charge a surcharge of $10 or $20, and that's it. But they're not going to do that because they don't have to. No. Like you said, they don't have to.
And
there's no competition.
I would have loved to put Activision on this list, but here's the thing: they have never changed, and they will never change. So they know what they're doing. They know they have the highest price game. Deal with it. So
the CEO made billions.
Yeah, Activision don't have to do nothing. They created 3 studios to keep the rotation going of Call of Duty, and people still buy them up, and that's their strategy, and that's what they stick with it. And you know what? I have to give them points for it. As much as I hate Call of Duty, or don't really care for it, I can't be mad at them that they pop up so many and people still buy them up. Remember Assassin's Creed was every year, and people were just tired of it, and now they brought it 2 years. 2 years now in a rotation. Call of Duty's not doing that, and people still not saying anything about that. And it's a small complaint. That small people complaint is 25%. I guarantee it.
It helped EA's Battlefield series fell on its face. So
yeah, and I'm more of a Battlefield fan. But even I really don't. I kind of stopped playing Battlefield because they're trying to do too much, and they're trying to milk and dime everything. So I kind of step away from that. It really misses back in the day where it was all about the final product. You put it out there, hopefully it'll do well for you. But now it's more of we'll fix it when we can. That
kind of makes me think of that. That whole saying, just release it when it's ready.
Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty much. I said my piece about EA. Yeah. Anything else everybody else already knows about EA. EA's pissed enough people off.
Yeah, I mean they were voted worst studio twice before. So yeah.
It basically that Activision and EA are just going to trade that title.
Yep, and the cycle's going to still continue with the new Mass Effect, Dragon Age. People are still going to buy it up. There's still a fan base for that. It's up there with Bethesda. Bethesda will still make money out of all that. But with that, we have to go ahead and wrap this up. We are a little bit past our time. I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode. Our next episode we'll be planning for you will be more exciting. But this was a good discussion. I did want to talk about this kind of publish have changed. That was Sega, Nintendo, Konami, and EA. So, two of those studios are still going. The other two are kind of going their own path. All right. So, as you know, this is part of the In-Game Boss Program Network Game and other variety shows. Please check out all our great content. If you're on video, don't be afraid. Please subscribe. That will really help us out. And enjoy all our great content. Jaron and I are slowly trying to get back to doing new episodes of the Cabinet Sessions. But until then, please enjoy all our other stuff. I recommend Crime Fighters. That was probably one of my favorite ones, which, by the way, is released on the Switch. You can buy that on the Switch now. That's hilarious.
Oh, boy.
That's hilarious. So enjoy that game, and then come watch us because it's hilarious. Enjoy all our great content on there and whatnot. Enjoy all our other great content that you can find us by going to our links that you see down below. We have a link tree, and that will send you to all our links. You can check those out. We're on Twitter, so don't be afraid to follow us there. And of course, we're on Facebook and whatnot. But thank y'all so much for for this year so far. I don't want to say we're halfway yet, but it's been, things are getting better. Things are getting better.
It's April already.
I know, man. We're almost there.
We're almost halfway through 2021 already.
But there is some big news happening in May for the network. There's a lot of show premieres that are going to be happening. Some are going to be making a return. Some are going to be brand new. I'll be announcing it pretty soon. But guarantee Cabinet Session will be back definitely for more monthly new episodes to do that. We're finally trying to get together to finally kind of game it up and push those out for you and whatnot. But with that, thank you so much, and we will catch you on our next stage. Stage clear. Let's go.
New high score, unless you get bought by EA.